bomb explosion has killed 8 people and wounded 64 others in the southeastern Turkish town of Cizre. The bombing hit a police checkpoint. Cizre is located in Şırnak province, which borders both Syria and Iraq and has a largely Kurdish population. At least 4 civilians have been killed in fresh Saudi airstrikes that targeted a residential area in the Yemeni province of Saada. Over 9,600 people have been killed since Saudi Arabia started its war on the country in March 2015. Riyadh has been condemned for using cluster bombs in the war. Now, Iranian Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif has rejected as baseless claims by his U.S. counterpart that Iran sends arms to Yemen. Zarif criticized the U.S. government for its, quote, partnership with the Saudi regime in its war against the Yemeni people. He said Iran's military might is merely for defensive purposes. Now, terrorists have shelled some districts of the Syrian city of Aleppo, killing at least 6 people and injuring some 50 others. Dozens of people were rushed to hospitals following the attack. Fighting has escalated in recent days between terrorist groups and government forces, worsening a dire humanitarian situation in Aleppo. Al-Shabaab militants have attacked a beach restaurant in the Somali capital Mogadishu after setting off a car bomb. 10 people were killed as a result of the attack. Al-Shabaab, which is an offshoot of the Al-Qaeda terrorist organization, has been fighting to overthrow Somalia's Western-backed government. Italian Prime Minister Matteo Renzi has pledged to rebuild communities devastated by this week's earthquake and relaunch efforts to protect the country's buildings and infrastructure from natural disasters. Over 260 people have died after the quake in central Italy on Wednesday. Mexico has announced plans to fire at least 1,200 striking teachers and school employees over their protests. Mexican officials said the teachers had been on strike for 4 days after the beginning of the new school year. The teachers are protesting against mandatory evaluations as part of educational reform since May. Iranian actor and artist Dawood Rashidi dies at the age of 83 in Tehran. Rashidi played in numerous movies and a TV series. Some of his works include Fleeing the Trap, directed by Jalal Muqaddam, and Hazar Dastan, TV series by late Ali Hatami, the Iranian cinema's great director and screenplay writer.
This is AP News Minute. The Food and Drug Administration is advising all U.S. blood banks to start screening for the Zika virus. Friday's move by the FDA is a major expansion of U.S. intervention aimed at protecting the nation's blood supply from the mosquito-borne disease. The death toll from the devastating earthquake in central Italy has risen to 278. Italian officials said 238 people have been rescued so far, but some people are still unaccounted for in the hardest-hit area. Maine Republican Governor Paul LePage left an obscene voicemail message for a Democratic legislator on Thursday. LePage says he took offense at being called a racist and told reporters he wished it was 1825 so he could challenge a lawmaker to a duel. The governor later apologized to the people of Maine, but not to the legislator. And a cat chase on a busy Texas highway didn't leave officials amused. Surveillance video shows an unidentified woman trying to trap a cat on a busy road full of cars and trucks. The Tollway Authority says the incident should be a warning of what not to do and to let trained experts handle it. Suzanne Yee Gaffney, The Associated Press, with AP News Minute.
Just set up on a panel yesterday, the undefeated, talking about the violence that's going on within our city, Chicago, never knowing that the next day we would be the ones that would be actually living and experiencing it.
Tonight, the small town of Durant, Mississippi, near Jackson, is shaken by the murder of two Catholic nuns. They were found in their home yesterday, apparently stabbed to death. Omar Villafranca is there.
The murders of Sister Paula Merrill and Sister Margaret Held have shocked the town of Durant. Assistant Police Chief James Lee.
A double homicide in a community this small, and the fact that these two ladies were nuns, they actually spent their entire life serving this community right here. I'm sure our community is completely devastated and grieving.
Lee believes the nuns were victims of a robbery and a motive is still unknown. He says investigators are working every angle to find their killer.
This is one of the poorest counties in all of Mississippi.
For 30 years, the nuns, seen here in this video, worked as nurse practitioners helping the poor at this rural clinic in Mississippi. Both nuns dedicated their lives assisting children and adults who couldn't afford medical care. Merrill's sister Rose Marie says the staff and patients will miss them.
Her patients absolutely loved her. She was so good to them, and they went, she and Sister Margaret both went so far above and beyond anything that could be expected of a normal human being.
The nun's car was stolen but was recovered less than a mile away. James, investigators are now going through that car looking for any clues that could lead to the killer.
Omar, thank you.
From the Executive Intelligence Review, Bill Jones joins us now from Leesburg, Virginia. Sir, welcome to the program. Where will this bombing in the town of Jizre leave the already convoluted situation between Ankara and the Kurds in the southeast?
Well, obviously, Turkey is faced with a two-pronged attack here. They have the traditional problem with the Kurds and Kurdish terrorism in the country, particular parts of the southwest. But more specifically now, they've also been attacked by ISIL or Daesh. So that they have a two-pronged strategy they have to deal with in dealing with these two threats. I don't think because the government has taken the position that they would now join in the war against terror, against the ISIL extremists, also in Syria. I don't think they're going to drop by any means their concern with the PKK and the attacks, and I think they will proceed as strongly against this act as they would at any other time. But they've got a difficult road to hoe because they now have a two-pronged enemy that they have to deal with.
And many observers and critics of Turkey have stated that this approach that Ankara is advocating towards both the Kurds and the Daesh in Syria along its border will further threaten the security of Turkey. Do you see it in that light as well?
Well, I think the security of Turkey is already threatened. I think they have taken steps to make Turkey more secure. Turkey was very unsecure when they had a near fight with Russia. That has been resolved. They're also trying to mend bridges with the U.S. So in one sense, their geostrategic situation today is probably better than it was like 1 month ago. However, all the nations, including Turkey, are threatened by Daesh, which is why you have something of a coalition among different parties to deal with that. On the Kurdish issue, this is solely a Turkish problem in terms of the internal situation. And while they're not interested in allowing the fighting in Syria to lead to the establishment of a Turkish state, something that I don't think any of the allies have supported at this point, they have to find a way of dealing with their own internal population. I think they've been a little bit too rough-handed in terms of the political measures taken against the legitimate Kurdish parties in Turkey. And I would hope and I would think it would be necessary to have some kind of a change so that the Kurds who are living in Turkey feel themselves as a part of the Turkish state. Right now they don't. And Turkey's only response at the moment is to react to it militarily.
Thank you very much. From the Executive Intelligence Review, Mr. Bill Jones joining us here on Press TV's Talk.
My immediate reaction is heartbreak. She was an outstanding young woman and a great spirit. And I think that spirit will live on.
You did meet with the president.
Just the three of us. He was sincere and apologetic and so sorry and this, that, the other.
He asked what he could do for you.
And I said, Mr. President, I'd be remiss if I didn't give you the opportunity to support Kayla's foundation. And he said, I will help that foundation. He says, you won't know. It'll be an anonymous donation, but I will. I'm still waiting.
There hasn't been such a donation?
No. I'm still waiting for that donation, Mr. President. And you see the flag at my driveway. It's not something I take lightly, talking about our president that way. But that's what he said.
The White House confirmed to 2020 that the president has indeed not yet made the donation he promised 18 months ago. For the Muellers, the foundation they created, Kayla's Hands, is so important, and the president's failure to support it so disappointing because it keeps her memory and legacy alive.
She just had a heart to help children, make children happy, make them laugh.
This Prescott, Arizona playground, funded by the Kiwanis Club in Kayla's memory, will be dedicated in a ceremony tomorrow.
Kayla was one courageous voice, calling the world to speak with one voice and with our actions, to have the same courage and commitment, to give all our everything for the sake of peace, justice, and religious freedom. Thank you.
So what I have to say to all my loved ones in Prescott is that I will always love you, and it's never goodbye among friends, and that you're always learning about yourself through other people, and you're always learning about life, and that process never stops.
The Muellers and the other hostage families have had an impact since Kayla's death. The White House now says it will allow American families to privately pay ransom without fear of prosecution.
Of course, we'll stay on it. In the meantime tonight, to our new 2020 digital series, Young and Gifted, and the story of another young woman determined to help children, the 12-year-old inventor of a life-changing app for the blind. You can see it at abcnews.com. I'm David Muir.
And I'm Elizabeth Vargas. For all of us here at 2020 and ABC News, have a great night and a great weekend.
It is believed that all of the locally transmitted Zika infections in this country were spread by mosquitoes in 2 sections of Miami. David Begnaud reports now on a case that has medical professionals stumped. A baby was born in Miami with Zika despite showing no signs of it before birth.
8-week-old Michaela is a medical mystery. She was exposed to the Zika virus in the womb, but does not have microcephaly, the birth defect marked by an abnormally small head and brain.
Look at that smile.
Maria Fernanda Ramirez Bolivar is her mother.
It's normal.
She looks normal to me, her mom says, but the doctors say she's not. Ramirez Bolivar contracted the Zika virus in her native Venezuela when she was 3 months pregnant. Michaela has slight damage to one eye and stiffness on one side of her body. It took a team of doctors at the University of Miami several weeks to rule out other causes. Dr. Ivan Gonzalez is a part of her medical team. The ultrasound she had in Venezuela and the one she had here in the United States before she gave birth all looked like a normal baby.
All looked like a normal baby. It didn't have any abnormalities.
So you didn't know that there were abnormalities until after birth?
Until after birth. We ultrasound the actual baby when it came out.
Gonzalez says scans of Michaela's brain show calcification, which is like a scar, and could lead to seizures down the road. Her prognosis is uncertain. How long do you think you'll have to study a child like Michaela?
It's very difficult to say right now how long we need to follow her. The plan for now is to follow her about 5 to 6 years.
There is also more evidence today the effects of Zika are not limited to babies. In Puerto Rico, where Zika is an epidemic, the CDC reported increased cases of Guillain-Barré syndrome. It's a neurological disorder that causes muscle weakness and numbness. This year, 34 patients with the syndrome also had evidence of Zika or similar virus infection. 1 person has died. The CDC has set up a registry here in the U.S. to track pregnant women who have been infected with Zika, nearly 580 so far. James, around the country, 16 babies have been born with Zika-related birth defects.
David Begnaud, thank you so much.